All right, so you want to have the sun rising and then setting inside your world in Unreal Engine 5. So all we fundamentally need to do is we want the sun to rotate around the world, and that's what we'll do in Engine. Now, inside of Unreal Engine, we want to start up a new level. So I'll go to File, I'll press New Level, and you can select either an open world or basic level. For this, I'm going to select a basic level and create it. So here we have our basic level. Go to the outliner in the top right region, select it, and select the directional light. That should be the sun. You can go into details and then set the rotation position to 0, set the Z position to 0, and set the Y position to -30. We go back into the outliner, select the directional light, and then we adjust the Y positioning, and yep, there we are. That directional light is in fact the sun. Now the next thing we're going to do, we'll go back into the outliner and then pressing F2, let's change the name from direction light to sun, just to simplify and organize what we are doing. Once that's done, we're going to now go over to the level blueprint. To get to the level blueprint, you want to look for this icon over here and then press it and then open. Go down, go to open level blueprint. When you click that, it's going to open up a window with your level blueprint. So this is our level blueprint. I want to add it to the main Unreal Engine window for easy access. Now that we have this here, we want to look for the function known as the event tick. The event tick is the function that plays on every frame. Now we're going to drag out from the event tick and we want to add a quick delay. Once we have the delay set up, we're going to get the delta seconds and drag it into the duration. Once we have that set up, we now want to actually move our sun around to get the day-night cycle. So we'll go back here to the level, go into the outliner, and we're going to select, basically just click on the sun. Okay, click on the sun. Once you're done clicking on the sun, go back into the level blueprint. And now, if you right click, you're going to see that there's the option to create a reference to sun. Want to click that, and now we have a reference to the sun available to us. So now that we have access to the sun, we'll drag it out. And then we want to type add actor local rotation. And that's going to give you access to the node to add actor local rotation. We'll drag this up here to the event tick, and then we're going to split the structure pin. And then we'll drag it so that it is adding the actor local rotation. And then we'll select delta rotation and we'll add in 1. Just increase that value from 0 to 1. Simply doing that, if we compile this code, go back into the level and press play. Now notice that the sun is rotating around the world, and that is how you get some basic day-night cycles in. Because you've seen the simple way of just having the sun rotate around at different speeds, but you can actually have a proper day-night cycle where you have the sun rising and then you have a moon that's also shining light on the world. And that is entirely possible. And this is how you set that up. So back to your project, you already have the first part working as intended, the sun. And that sun is essentially in the outliner, us moving the sun all around. Now, in order to get a proper day-night cycle, the first things first is let's add some organization. So we'll create a folder and we're going to call it, I'm just going to call it solar bodies, okay? And inside of this folder, I'm going to put in the sun And I'm going to come, select the sun, go into the outliner. We will select the sun. And what we want to do is we want to duplicate it. Now, duplicating the sun is actually pretty easy. We can simply hit Control C, Control V. So now there are two suns, but you'll notice that Unreal Engine is telling you that there are multiple directional lights competing for a single forward shading. Now, to correct that, we'll basically select the sun 2 and rename it, and we're going to call it moon. Select the moon and go into details, and we want to first fix the forward shading. So I'm typing forward, and we'll turn forward shading priority from 0 to 1 so that it's not competing for the same priority. And then we'll type in light. And after typing in light, what we want to do is we'll scroll way down, okay, to light channels. And then we want to turn off its light channel 0 and turn it on to light channel 1. Now that we have done that, if we go into the world, notice that we still have our normal sun going around in circles, so we need to stop that from doing so. So we'll go back into the blueprint. We'll break that link of its actor rotation because right now we don't want to see it. What we want is to see how the world looks. So this is how the world looks right now. Good. Now we're going to go select the sun, go into details, under light, and right now the sun's current intensity is set to 6. Let's set that to 0, which means that the sun should no longer be providing any light at all. Hit play, and now you have this sun, this light coming from the moon, and you can see it right over there. That is actually our moon. But to get moonlight, it can't be the same color as sunlight. So to give the moonlight a good color, go into outline, select the moon. Inside of its details, notice that there is the option to change light color. So we'll select the light color. The moon is always better with a bit of a blue color. Okay, maybe a bit of dark blue. You can alter that to your taste. And after selecting that, having the moon be dark blue, we can now reduce its brightness, its intensity from 6. I find that the moon is best around 2. So if we go back into the world, you can currently see this is how it looks. So this is around about what a moon would look like. You can tweak these settings until you find something that works really well for you. However, you're going to notice something strange. If you press play into the world, if you look around, you see that this looks like a proper night sky. However, inside of the editor, it looks too bright. And the reason why is because of what we like to call exposure. Now, to fix the exposure is pretty simple. The first thing you want is you want to find your third person blueprint up, the blueprint for your character, right? This one's using the blueprint for the third person character. I'm going to go into the viewport and I'm going to select the follow camera. Okay, select whatever camera your character uses. Then you're going to go into its details and you want to search for a basic component called exposure. Now notice I have already set up my character to have the exposure mode set to manual and the exposure compensation set to 10. But the way it should look like normally is manual exposure histogram. Now the reason why is because Unreal Engine is not set up to, like at default, it doesn't react to your lighting, or rather it reacts to all lighting to have balanced lighting. Because now that I've set it up to histogram, notice how it's adjusting the colors to brighten the night sky. So you're not actually having a dark night. But if we go back, select the camera again, and we adjust the exposure, I always like to set it up as manual exposure, because that means the exposure in my entire game is going to be uniform and I can adjust lights without having it auto adjusting. Now I've set the exposure compensation to 10 because that's how I like to have it organized. With that, compile. And this time when we go back into the level, if it's set up as dark, it's going to remain dark. Now, how do we fix it so that even inside of the world in the editor, it has the same exposure? The way we're going to fix it so that even inside the editor, it has the same exposure is we're going to add a component to the world and go here to quickly add object. And then you want to go down to a post-processing volume, add that, and there we have our post-process volume in the world. For organization, I always like to go into the outliner. I see the post-process volume. I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to call it post-processing. Okay. This is how you'll organize when you're going into production. Grab the post-process volume, drop it inside of post-processing, and I'm going to rename it to exposure. Okay. So this box is going to adjust our exposure. Once that's done, go into details and just type exposure. Okay. Now notice it has a metering mode. Right now it's set to auto adjust. We're going to set it up to be the exact same. So we'll set it up at 10 and metering mode is going to be set to manual. Now here's the fun thing. Notice that in the world, right now, it's like I've not done anything. It's still overexposing. But the moment you enter this volume, now the world actually looks correctly dark. If you get out, you lose that entirely, okay? So what we want to do is we want to change this. Also, that's just Unreal Engine being fun. What we want to do is now see the exposure is changing. So we'll select that exposure again, that post-processing, then go into details, and then we want to type infinite. Because what that does is it lets us see the infinite extent. Basically, it makes it unbound. So that box of post-processing is universal. And after clicking through, now your world is actually showing the light that you would be seeing in-game. So your editor and in-game are going to be the exact same. And look, there is our moon right up in the night sky, which is pretty cool. Okay, now that we're done with that, for simplicity's sake, let's go on and add a little bit of rotation to the moon as well. To make the moon rotate, we'll use the same basic principles. Go into the outliner. We're going to select the moon and then go into the level blueprint. Okay, and then on right click, we have the ability to access create a reference to moon. And we're going to have the same, actually, I can even copy and paste this. It is the add actor local rotation. And I'm going to connect these two together. And the local rotation is set to delta Y. So we have our sun rotating at a simple speed of 1, and we have our moon rotating at a simple speed of 1. Now let's go back into the engine to look at what that looks like. So now our moon is also rotating around. Now let me zoom into the proper third person view, and you can see the moon rotating around the world, which is cool. Now let me reduce the rotation speed to 0.1 so we can get a bit of a better look at it. Compile. Okay, so the moon is rising. It goes up, It keeps rotating. I'm actually rotating my mouse to just follow and track it. And then the moon sets and disappears away. That's good. We have it working as intended. Now for the next part, we want to set it up so that the sun starts right in this top position in the ground. The moon starts in the bottom position. And when we rotate them, we want to rotate them at the same rate around the world so that the world is always lit either by the sun or by the moon. Let's do that next. So to start this off, let's adjust the positioning of the sun and the moon. To begin with, we'll go back into the outliner. We're going to select the sun, go back into details, and we're going to reset it so that its intensity is back to 10 and we can see it once again in the world. So in its current state, the moon and the sun are in the exact same position. But what we want is to have them 180 degrees apart. Because at 180 degrees apart, the sun will be on the opposite side of the world from the moon. The way I like to do this is by starting off by putting the sun at the midday position, right? In other words, I'll have it right up above as if it is exactly midday along the equator. So we'll move it to exactly negative 90 degrees. So at exactly negative 90 degrees, the sun should be right up above. Okay, hold on. I'm going to break the link for movement because I don't want this to move. I want it to be exact. So as you can see, the sun is right above our character's head. It is shining right down, and you can tell that by looking at the shadows. That's perfect. Then we're going to select the moon and go into its details. And then we're going to adjust the very positioning of the moon. And since the sun is at exactly, right, if we look at the sun's position, the sun is at exactly negative 90 degrees. So that means when we go to our moon, for it to be exactly 180 degrees on the other side of the world in terms of rotation, we simply set it to be at 90 degrees. Okay, so at this point, we have the basics working properly. The sun goes around the world, and that's good. But the sun and the moon cannot be providing their light at the same time. And we're going to adjust it. This next part is a bit complex, but I'm going to run you through it really quickly and cleanly. So get back into the level blueprint, and we're going to start from here. Now we need to have things super organized for this to work and make sense. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll press C on the keyboard, and that's going to lead to a comment. And this comment is going to hold some code for us. Try to make it about actually 4 is too few. But let's say 6 squares wide and 2 squares high. And then we'll set up the font size to be 50. Now double click inside of the comment, and we want to call this starting time. Okay, that's what we'll call it. We'll call it starting time. Now, what we really want is to create some variables for us to use. You create the variables by coming to the right side under variables and hitting plus. Create one variable called timescale, and you can set it up as a float. Then set up another variable as current time, and current time will also be a float. All right, now that you have the timescale and current time variables ready, let's get started by accessing the begin play event, okay? Now, what is that? If you right click and type out begin play, you're going to get access to the event begin play. Click on that. The begin play event is the first thing that fires off when the level loads up. Once you have that dialed in, we need to get the current time. So I will type out NOW for now, and I'm just going to select now. Head to the return value and split the structure pin up. Once that's split up, what we want is the return value of day. But we're going to get the current time float and drag it in, and we will set the current time, not get. We will set the current time. Once we have the set current time set up, that's the first thing we want to find out. Then we're going to get the value by hour. Keep in mind it runs from 0 to 24. So we get the return value of the hour. It's going to show the hour time. Then we'll drag out from there. We want to do a basic print text. Okay. And we want to print out the current time. And let's set it up. Holy cow. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, let's come back here. We want to print out the current time, and we want the duration to be at least 10 seconds so that we're going to have adequate time to visibly see what the current time is. With just that, we can quickly compile that, go in, and it says the current time is 20 on my screen, okay? Whatever time it is, for you, it will show you the current time, and it should be showing you the hour that you're currently in, which is fantastic. Now that you have the hour that you're currently in, we're going to continue. We have seen what hour we are in, and we want to use that to position where the sun is. Now, to do that, first things first, let's get the sun, okay? Copy that. You can also go into the level and do it like the way we did earlier, but you want to have a reference to the sun. Once you have that reference to the sun, we'll go up here, paste it, and now we need to drag out from the sun. And what we want to do is we want to set rotation. Okay, so we want to set actor rotation, and then let's break that link. Want to break it because this is going to actually be quite a lot of code. Not break, but want to split it up, split the structure pin. Now I'm going to basically increase the amount of space that this starting time is taking up, because this will need to be at least 3 squares tall and about 9 squares long. That I think is safe for the amount of code that's going to go in here. Now, okay, so the value that we are going to be using is going to be the pitch. So what we want to do is want to get the time of day, and we want to turn it into the pitch. Now, in order to do that, we will keep it simple as before. We're going to get the current time, and we're going to drag it in. Okay. And the very first thing we're going to do with the current time is we want to quickly divide. So get a divide node. Okay. Want a dividing node. So let's do the division from over here. Now let's add in a little bit of space because there's going to be a lot coming in here. Now we're going to, since we are dividing the current time, we are going to be dividing it. All right, now that we've created that space, we're going to get the current time. Now that we have access to the current time, let's add in some logic. So we'll get the current time, we'll do an addition, and we're going to add exactly 6 to it. The reason why we want to add 6 to it is because the sun starts shining its light at exactly 6 a.m. and we're going to set it up so that it starts doing hard dimming out at around 8 p.m. So those are all 6 hours apart from midnight. So that's why we do the +6. Once we have that done, we go up and we want to add in a division, and we're going to divide it by 24. We're going to do so for the sake of 24 hours. We are splitting up all the rotations into 24 segments. Then after that, we want to add a multiplier, and we're going to multiply by 360. 360 is the degrees to go in a full circle. Now, with all of that, let's drag this entire function, put it right down here, and we'll link that to the Y rotation. Now from the bottom, current time, add 6 hours, divide it by 24. We then want to multiply it by 360 for its position, and then we want to set the actor rotation. Now, with just everything we've done, if we go into the world right now, we should not see the sun. Okay, so the sun is completely invisible because it's rotated out. Now, to complement that, because it's about 9 p.m. where I am, select the moon, copy that, drag it and drop it in. And you're going to do a little bit of calculation here as well. But to keep it simple, from the moon, drag it out and create another set actor rotation. Once you have the set actor rotation, we're going to do the same thing, split the structure pin, make sure the nodes are connected to be active. And the only thing we want to do is we want to get the current position, okay, the current Y rotation, and we want to drag it out, and we're going to subtract, okay, and we're going to subtract exactly 180 from it. After subtracting 180, let's put that in to the new rotation Y, go back in, and now things may be looking dark, but just to make sure, to confirm this, you want to select your sun, go to its details and set its brightness to 0 and save that. Then when we press play again, you can see that the moonlight is actually working as intended. You can see the moon over there. That's perfect. Now, let's come over here. We'll go back into the begin play. And the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to set up a pretty simple branch, okay? So we'll drag this out from here and we'll type in branch, a simple branch. Now, what are we going to be testing? We're going to test if the current time is between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. So let's drag the current time in, get current time. Let me zoom in so you can see clearly. Now we want to drag that out and add in a greater node, okay? And we want to see if it is greater than 6. If it's greater than 6, put that into the condition. And since it is greater than 6, that means it's probably daytime, okay? But we want to do an even deeper check than that. So we're going to branch it out again, okay? And we want to set up another branch. And the condition for this one's going to be another condition from the current time. And we want to see if it is, so check if it's greater than 6 and if it is less than 18, okay? So if it is greater than 6 and also less than 6, we're going to consider that it must be it must be daytime. So if it is greater than 6, okay, a.m., We're going to drag this out and we need to create a custom event. Now, we need to create a custom event. You can type in EVENT and it will create a custom. Actually, you need to type custom and it will say add custom event, and we'll create one custom event called day. Okay. And then we'll create another custom event. And this custom event, we'll call it night. Now, if it turns out that the time is between greater than 6 and less than and less than and less than 6 p.m., which is 18 hours, it's not even 8, we're going to say day. So it's going to call the function day over here. However, if it is not greater than 6, then we want to call it night. So it's going to call off the night function. And also in this instance as well, we're going to call this the night function. So the night function will fire off in those two instances. Now, in order to create what the day and night functions are, we'll need to reduce this comment box, select day and night functions and bring them out. Each one should have at least 2 vertical squares, and we'll need probably about 4 horizontal squares. Press C in order to make a comment. Okay, press C to make a comment. As always, for the sake of clarity, it's good to have the comments, or let's expand these details, with at least 50 on the font size. Open this up. And there we have day. Copy that. And this will be the night function. And let's name them appropriately. So that's the night function. And this is the day function. Now we're going to do a couple of things inside of the day function and the night function. So to start things off, simply select the sun and the moon and copy those. Let's start with the day function. So during the day, we know that the sun is going to be bright and the moon will not be producing any light. So we're going to type out, okay, dragging out from the sun function, want to drag out and type intensity. Okay, so you'll find set intensity for the light component. And we will set the intensity to 10. Okay, we'll set the intensity to 10. And then, boom, drag that out. Now we'll copy this, but this time insert the target as the moon component. And we'll set the intensity to 0. Then copy both of these nodes, go into night, and put them in. And this time, you're going to set the intensity of the sun to 0 and the intensity of the moon to 2. 2 is a good intensity for moonlight. Then we will compile. So now when I press play, as you can see, the moon is the dominant. The moon is now dominant, but let's say for an instance that we broke the event begin play so that it goes, let's break this link as well, so that it goes direct and there is no setting of the current time. And I go to click on current time, then go into its details, and I press 12. Okay, so that basically means midday. Hold on. Let me break this because it will cause a problem. Now I've set it to 12, so 12 minus 6, that means it should be early in the morning. Press play. Actually 12, nope, it's putting it right above us. That's actually pretty good. So you can see the sun shining. However, if I were to select the current time and adjust it so that the current time is, let's say, 5 a.m., compile and fire it off. Now you can see that at 5 a.m. it is the moon providing light. Okay. But if we were to make it 5 p.m., which should be, I believe that should be about what, 1700 hours. So, I'll set the current time to be 5. And if I hit play, now it is nice in the evening. So the time is actually working pretty correctly. Now that we're done with that, we can go back to basically adjusting the current time. So let me remove both of these add actors local rotation, remove those entirely. Now, this event tick is going to be what rotates the world around. So we're going to need to add a comment for it as well. As always, set the font size to +50 to basically 50 because we need big comments when we are when we're organizing our code, and expand it out quite a bit. Now we're going to call this time scaling. The reason we're going to call it time scaling is because at long last, we are going to get our current time scale and our current time. So let's start by dragging in our time scale, which is get time scale. And then let's drag in our current time, which will be set to get current time. Okay. Now, we're going to be making a couple of adjustments. For starters, we are going to turn setting the actor rotation, all of this into one simple function. Okay. So in order to do that, we're going to press Control and C. Everything basically everything that is setting the actor rotation, we are going to turn it into a function. So select all of it and press Control C. After that, you're going to paste it over here. And then we'll go in, of course, first things first, let's copy and paste a quick comment here. And we're under this comment, we're going to call this rotation. Okay. Just going to call it rotation for simplicity. Then we're going to call this, we're going to create a custom event. And this custom event, for the sake of it, we're going to call this day, night, day-night cycle. Fine. Let's just call it day-night cycle. And immediately the day-night cycle function, let's actually change this to day-night cycle. Day space, night space, cycle, rotation, function. Just for simplicity and organization. So now we have that day-night cycle. Anytime that it's called, we set the actor rotation based off the current time. Okay, so that's how it works. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to now go to where we cut this from. We'll delete those. We'll drag this out and we will call the day-night cycle, which is basically going to handle the rotation. And we shall, oh snap, I need to bring these closer. Okay, let's bring these closer and connect it once again to the branch and the test, which is good. Once we have this completely done, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into time scaling, okay, where we're going to get the time scale and we're going to get the current time, and we're going to be adding the time scale to the current time. So we'll get the current time, drag from it, and we'll say set current time. Okay. And we don't want current time to just be current time. Let's actually break that. We want to add. So we want to add the time scale to the current time, which is going to set the current time. And then last but not least, we want to fire off the day-night cycle. Okay? We want to fire off the day-night cycle. Now with just that, we can actually compile and we have a workable day-night cycle. So hit play. Okay, right now it's going incredibly fast, but the fundamentals are there. Now that we have that, we'll go back to time scale and we're going to need to reduce it. So I'll go from 0.1 to 0.01. Let's also quickly compile this. And we need to make sure that these two functions are working correctly. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. And the setting of rotation is set correctly. That's working well. Now in engine, when we hit play, yes, we actually have a proper cycle. But the problem that we're having is that we do not have the day and the night functioning properly. So we're going to get all of these over here, right? You see this branching code? We're going to cut it out because we need to do those checks. And then we're going to go into the day-night cycle rotation function, add in some space, and paste these branches in and compile. Now, when we go back into our world, I think first things first, let me turn the sun back to an intensity of 10 so that it's going to be visible regardless, and hit play. So now we have a proper functioning day-night cycle. Hold on, where's the moon at though? Oh, there it is. Moon is now gone. Where's the sun? Okay, so we have a code block. This is going to be simple to troubleshoot. We're just going to need to get into it. So first things first, I can set that up and hit play. So the night function is working correctly. You can see the moon, but immediately the moon goes over, we do not immediately see the sun come in, but it's working as intended. The time scale and rotation is working as intended, but we need to actually debug this quite a bit. So in order to debug this, we're going to come out here and we're going to print a string, and then we're going to print out the current time. That's really what we want to print out. Let me set that up to the color green and compile. So current time, okay, 9 midnight. So the problem is that the time keeps going in one direction. So in order to solve that problem, we're going to make a pretty basic change. So what we're going to do is, after firing off the day-night cycle, we're going to have a simple branch. So this branch, we're going to get the current time. Okay. And we're going to be doing some basic logic, okay? So we want to see if it is greater than 24. And if the current time is greater than 24, what we're going to do is we're going to set the current time. Okay, once set the current time to actually be 0. That should solve the problem. Let's quickly compile. So greater than 24, it's gone back to zero, it's gone to zero, and then the sun rises. And that's in essence all that you need in order to create a basic day and night cycle. I seriously think that this tutorial was too long. Honestly, if you've managed to make it this far, tell me how short this tutorial could have been, because I want to put more tutorials on YouTube and not just have all of them being paid for. That is all for now. It's actually pretty late. I need to go to sleep for tomorrow's work.